Alright, this is an overview of my Venser deck here. You can see I have 75 cards in this deck, and the reason for that is because I feel like 60 cards is a little bit too low. And I have 75 cards because the more cards you have, the more fun it gets, because every game gets more interesting because you can potentially draw many different combinations of cards. So that's why I have 75 cards. Obviously, this is casual. This is a casual deck, but it has a lot of comes into the battlefield abilities, like you have Wall of Omens, enters the battlefield, draw a card. I have 4 of those. I got 4 Fog Banks. Those are more for defense than for anything else, but 2 mana for a 0/2 defender that doesn't receive combat damage is really nice. I have 4 of those. Of course, I got a lot of Planeswalkers here. I got Jace Beleren, the original one, as well as Jace, Architect of Thought, which can be a little bit better at defense because of his ability. Living Guild Pact, a little bit more for library manipulation, and I want to have Jace the Mind Sculptor, obviously, but he's banned in Modern, so I don't have him here. He's really too good for Modern, that's why he was banned. Glen Elendra Archmage, because when he persists, well, first of all, this thing is good by itself because it can counter any non-creature spell and persist and come back. But when you return them back to your hand or exile it with Venser, then basically the persist, well, the counter, the -1/-1 counter goes away, and you can use it indefinitely that way. So that's why I have some persist creatures here. I got Kitchen Finks, the other really good persist creature. Always good to have. I got Kitchen Finks there. Venser, the main card of this deck, Venser the Sojourner, which can reuse a lot of my comes into play cards. His first ability, exile target permanent, return it back, flickers it. This is the main thing. Reuses a lot of the abilities of my creatures in this deck, which is really nice. Ifara, I have this. This can probably be replaced, not that important, but I do like the ability. It is blue and white, and then each upkeep, if you have another creature enter the battlefield, last turn draw a card, so it could be potentially pretty useful. My lands here, I use some Hallow Fountains, I don't have any Flooded Strands, but if I had Flooded Strands, I would use them. And then some other Planeswalkers that I have, Tameo the Moon Sage, really good Planeswalker, slows down the opponent, pretty nice. Riftring Cloudscape, not only can be suspended, but its ability to return any permanent to its owner's hand when it enters the battlefield is pretty useful. Venser, Shaper Savant is like a super version of the Riftring Cloudscape because it can return any permanent or spell to the owner's hand, potentially as a counter spell as well. So that's pretty good. Clever Impersonator copies any non-land permanent on the battlefield. When you flicker it out or when you return it to your hand, you can recopy something else, which is why I have Clever Impersonator there. And I got Blade Splicer, which is my main offensive creature when it enters the battlefield every time, or yeah, basically whenever you use Venser, flicker it out, or whenever you return it back to your hand, replay it, you get a 3/3 golem with first strike every time, which is pretty good. So I like that reusable. That's basically my main aggro card in this deck. Ghostly Prison, really good defense card. I got 4 of those. Creatures can't attack me unless they pay 2. This is a modern version of this deck. If you want like a vintage version, you can also add Propaganda, which is the older version of this card, which is blue. Propaganda. And I wonder, do I have Propaganda? I'm pretty sure I do, actually. Yeah, I do. Okay, this is Propaganda. So you can see this is the older version. The same card, but it's a blue version, and they haven't reprinted it, which really sucks. I really want them to reprint this card. Anyway. Wizards decided that blue is not allowed to have this kind of effect, and that's supposed to be white's effect. But yeah, okay. Oblivion Ring, basically do all for removing permanents, for removing other planeswalkers, creatures, enchantments, artifacts, what have you. Oblivion Ring does that. Ajani Steadfast, not one of the better planeswalkers for this deck, but can be kind of useful sometimes. I guess he's kind of replaceable. Restoration Angel is pretty good. It has flash, so you can play him on the opponent's turn. Enters the battlefield and basically flickers something. And yeah, I like that. So it flickers some of my other creatures, reuses the effect, and can do it all on the opponent's turn as well. And not to mention, this itself can also be reused. So yeah. Elspeth Knight Errant, really good card. 4 mana, 2/+1 abilities, just a good card all around in general for any deck. Elspeth, good for gaining life, also for making 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. And then Elspeth's Sun's Champion does 3 white soldier tokens, becomes the +1 ability instead at the cost of 1 more mana. But yeah, I have this as well to create some defense. Gideon Jura, again for defense. This is just to protect some of my other creatures. And I have, as some of my other artifacts in here, I got Crystal Shard, really a good card. 3 mana, it puts pressure on the opponent, basically makes the opponent's creatures cost 1 mana more, which is really annoying for them. So Crystal Shard. The older version of this card is called Erratic Portal. Yeah, this is the older version of this card, Erratic Portal. So if you're playing Classic, then you can add this card in. It's the same thing, but the only difference is that this costs 1 colorless mana to activate the ability, whereas Crystal Shard, basically you have to use the blue mana to activate it. That's the main difference. But Erratic Portal costs 1 more mana to cast. Blood Clock. Every turn, return a permanent controls to owner's hand, unless pays 2 life. It's a good way to annoy the opponent and at the same time put some advantage to you, so you can reuse your creatures. Blood Clock. Most people hate this because they always pay the 2 life. They don't want to return something to their hand every turn. But for you, you get to return something for free because I can reuse these creatures, which is pretty good. The older version of this card is called Umbilicus. Do I have this card? Yep. This is the older version of this card. Same thing, same mana cost, just different card. And the other one is Ristic Study. And this is, they're not going to fit this card because it's just too good. This is probably one of the best commons ever. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player plays 1. Basically makes the opponent's spells all cost 1 mana more, unless they want you to draw cards, and amazing in multiplayer, as you would expect. So yeah, this deck's pretty good in multiplayer, and I play it a lot sometimes. Reusable creatures, basically. So yeah, that's the overview of the Venser deck, and you'll see it in action in my multiplayer match. Okay, let's play another game. 3 mana is pretty good. I like 3 mana. I'll keep this. Blood Fountains. Vampire Nighthawk. It's a pretty good card. I have that card too. 3 mana, 2/3, Flying Death Touch Lifelink. It's one of my favorites, along with Kitchen Finks. I also like Miri Cat Warrior and Auron Viper. I think those cards are so well designed. And Troll Ascetic. Those cards are so well designed for the 3 mana cost. They're just so efficient. I love it. Mirren Crusader and Glissa the Trader. I like that card too. Friction Crusader and Fiendslayer Paladin. Those are all 3 mana cards that I think are really efficient for their cost. Oh, and Doran the Siege Tower. Okay, it's fine. I'm pretty happy this time. I didn't get mana screwed or mana flooded. Here's Elspeth. I need 6 mana for her though. Go Crystal Shard. I don't know why he's using these kind of cards that sacrifice, because they're just 1/1s. Not a big deal. If it was like a 7/7 or something, I can see that, but a hexproof creature or something. They're just 1/1s, vanilla. Jace, Architect of Thought. Let's do that. So, till my next turn, my creature they have no creatures right now. Reveal top 3 cards and separate those cards into 2 piles. Let's do that. Put 1 pile in my hand and the other on the other pile. Okay, well he's destroying that. That's fine too. Because that Jace is not even that great, actually. I still get his ability, maybe. Pretty funny. Okay, so my opponent separates those into 2 piles. It's kind of like a mini Fact or Fiction, or a mini Telling Time, basically. Okay, so I can choose the pile of Venser. I can choose the pile with Crystal Shard and Kitchen Finks. Do I need Venser that much? No, not really, because if I have Crystal Shard and Blood Clock and if I have Crystal Shard and Blood Clock, there's no really need for Venser. I mean, Venser would be good, but no, it's fine. I'll take the Kitchen Finks though. I like Kitchen Finks. I have 2 Vensers in this deck. Alright. Little did he know that I have much more Planeswalkers in my deck. Unfortunately, Jace the Mind Sculptor is banned from the Modern format. Otherwise, I would play him because he is just amazing. But obviously, he's too overpowered, so that's why they banned him. But the other 4 Jaces are allowed. Architect of Thought is probably the weakest one too. Yeah, not that great of a card actually, but if he wants to waste one of those removals on it, then that's fine. Oh, I noticed that the Venser even went back into my deck. So that means it didn't even go into my graveyard. Which means I can actually draw that guy again. So that's pretty good. It doesn't even go into my graveyard. It goes back in my deck. Yep, that card's going to be removed. 3 mana for 3/4, creates 1/1s, whatever, that card's going to be removed. It's too powerful. And here's my Oblivion Ring to do that. Yay. Okay, my Oblivion Ring comes out so I can get rid of it. Bye-bye. Alright. Oh, okay. If he wants to do that, that's fine too. I got more Oblivion Rings. I got 4 of them, so I can always use another one. Okay, whatever. He has a lot of removal, but I'm okay with it because I have more where that came from. And Elspeth. Got 3 Elspeths and 4 Jaces in this deck, so I got more Planeswalkers. 2 Vensers, a Tamio, and a Gideon Jura. And a Johnny, I think. A Johnny Steadfast. Yep. He's probably saving his mana for instance. More removal or stuff like that. Ooh, Master of the Wild Hunt. It's also a pretty good card. He gets a 2/2 every turn, right? Try to Crystal Shard it back to his hand. He's going to have to tap the remaining mana to use that. And the thing about that is, because he's tapped his mana, he cannot tap his mana again the next turn. So I can successfully return it back to his hand on my turn. So take 4 damage. That's fine because I'm gonna remove it. So I'm gonna return this thing back to his hand. He now has no mana to pay for that, so he has to return it back to his hand. If this deck was in the classic format, it would be even more annoying because I would have Ristic Studies and Propagandas as well. Which is going to make things really hard for them to keep mana open. Especially Ristic Studies, just such a good common card. Every time a player plays a spell, then I draw a card unless that player plays 1 mana. That's what that card says, and it's just ridiculously broken for a common card, in a multiplayer game especially. And then I also have other crystal shards. They're called erratic portals, which do the same thing. And instead of Blood Clock, I would have Umbilicus, which is another old card that does the same thing. And instead of Ghostly Prison, I also have Propagandist. So if this was in the classic format, I would have even more cards to work with. Okay, that's gone. Now I can Oblivion Ring. And get rid of the Master of the Wild Hunt. No one wants someone creating 2/2s on my watch. There we go. There we go, buddy. Now I just have that 1/1 left, which is fine. Ooh, Karn Liberated. Opponent has a Planeswalker. Karn's pretty good. It's a +4 loyalty ability. It's his first ability. His third ability just kills anything. Second ability just kills anything, I mean. And the third ability just restarts the game. Which is just, basically the third ability just wins you the game. Yep. Three crystal shards means that I can potentially up to return 3 creatures a turn, or or make the opponent pay 3 mana per turn. So yeah, it's pretty good. In addition to the Ghostly Prisons I have in this deck, that can slow an opponent down severely. Oh, the other card, what is it? White-blue has a lot of good stalling cards. There's another one called Dissipation Field. When the opponent attacks the creature, deals damage to you, then it gets returned to their hand. And Sunken Hope, which is like the opponent returns the creature to their hand every turn. But I have Blood Clock instead, which is basically better. Ooh, Nighthawk comes in. Okay, that's the same dragon guy. It's fine. See, they always have to leave 1 mana open because of my Crystal Shard. It effectively makes all their creatures cost 1 mana more, which is really funny. Yes. Ooh, a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, interesting. I'll probably Oblivion Ring that one too. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters. Well, I got an easy solution for that. Oblivion Ring it, and then Crystal Shard this thing back to their hand. Which, as everyone knows, when a token goes back to a player's hand, it dies. So, and he left no mana open. So basically, yeah, that thing's going to die next turn, and the Planeswalker's going to die next turn. There we go. Shouldn't be too hard after that. Place Splicer, nice. Alright, so anyways, that's going back to his hand. It's dead, basically. Planeswalkers are really overpowered, usually. When Magic first introduced them, it was really, yeah, it's basically overpowered. But that's why you gotta deal with them as soon as you can. They have made stuff like Oblivion Ring to do that. To make them get rid of Planeswalkers. It's a really pain in the ass. Especially if you have a really powerful one like Garruk Wildspeaker or Liliana the Veil or Chase the Mind Sculptor, you gotta deal with those guys as soon as possible. Yep, Diabolic Addict, nice. It's sacked, it's dead. Can't do anything about it, doesn't even target the creature. Good top deck. Nice. Another Nighthawk. Do it. Parallel Lives comes out. Okay. I'm fine with that. Especially since I can kill tokens by returning them to their hand. And my Ajani Steadfast. That's not a really good card to put out when I don't have other planeswalkers. So I'm going to put out Blade Splicer. Well, actually, no. Another Crystal Shard. Just to infuriate them a bit more. Another Crystal Shard comes out. So now all the creatures cost 2 mana more. I think the first deck I ever made in Magic was like a deck that had basically all enchantments and artifacts. Well, no, my second deck. Yeah, the first deck I made in Magic was basically a red-green deck with lots of big creatures in it. But the second deck I made had basically all enchantments and artifacts. No creatures at all. Which is not a really bad thing because that means all the creature removal in an opponent's deck are basically useless when you create a creatureless control deck. On the other hand, if they have a lot of disenchants and naturalizes, it's going to make it hard. But usually in an opponent's deck, they have more creature removal than non-creature removal. So in general, creatureless control decks are pretty good, I think. I think the benefits are more because they have less stuff to target. Basically, they have a dead hand if they have a bunch of, like, say for example, they have some terrors or something in their hand. They can't use it on anything. Or they have some terminates. They can't target anything other than that, than a creature, so some dead cards is always good when you're facing an opponent. Another Parallel Lives. Okay. Doesn't matter unless they have a spell that puts some tokens into play. Ooh, my Venser. I need 1 more mana to cast a lot of these guys, so I'm just going to put another Crystal Shard into play. No, crazy, right? 3 Crystal Shards. Now all the creatures cost 3 mana more. Unless he has a Maelstrom Pulse. If he has a Maelstrom Pulse, then he can deal with this pretty well. But I'm hoping he doesn't have a Maelstrom Pulse. So Maelstrom Pulse, if it's a green-black sorcery, destroys all permanents, non-land permanents with the same name. So that would kill all my Oblivion Rings or Crystal Shards. Ooh, Karn's coming out, which is good. That pretty much means we're going to win soon, unless they kill the Karn. So if he has a Maelstrom Pulse, he would probably Maelstrom Pulse that. Nice. Venser the Sojourner. Okay. So he gets tokens every turn. That's fine. This Venser the Sojourner is the main piece of my deck, and like my deck can live without this card, but the reason why I called my deck a Venser deck is because this Planeswalker is basically the central theme to this deck. She's reusing creatures comes into battlefield abilities, or exiling and returning it to the battlefield. It's the main thing of this deck. The main combo. 8 tokens. Alright. He has 1 mana. 1 mana left. Put out Blade Splicer. Blade Splicer comes on the battlefield. I get a 3/3 creature that has first strike. I can reuse the ability with Crystal Shard or Blood Clock, which I have. Yep, well, they get token every turn. They're both using token decks. It's fine. Well, actually, this guy's using a dragon deck. This guy's using a token deck. I would have used Karn's ability actually to exile this dragon thing. I don't know why he used up his sack cards, but yeah. He's obviously not going to block that in his Death Touch. Mm-hmm. Flying and trample, okay. He didn't devour anything. So, okay. And obviously he's not going to attack because we have a blocker with Death Touch. There, Brimaz comes back out. As expected. Attacking with everything. Almost everything. 2 mana, right? Okay. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to make him use up his mana. Oh, he actually let that go back to his hand. Okay. I guess that's fine. He actually let that go back to his hand. I'm a little bit surprised about that. Then I have 5 mana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, I can put up Venser. Put up Venser the Sojourner. Yay. Use his ability to exile that. And it'll come back next turn, and then I'll get another 3/3. There we go. 2 3/3s now to defend. He would have to go in all in next turn to kill my Venser, which I'm fine with, because Venser is cool, but he's not really necessary, I guess. Since I have all these crystal shards, he's not really that necessary, and if he goes all in to kill Venser, that's fine. Yes, please use Karn to get rid of that thing. Finally, that dragon's gone. We're kind of like defending here, but we're on the upper hand, of course. Yeah, he's gonna have to defend those. I'm surprised he didn't go all in on my Venser. Surprising. I'm pretty surprised that he didn't go all in on my Venser. Okay. Well, do you know what that means, folks? That means I can do this. I can cast Whispering Cloudscape, actually. Or, actually, I can do this. I can 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to put my Whispering Cloudscape and then exile it. Enters the battlefield, returns anything to the hand. I'm going to return Brimaz to the hand. And then I'm going to exile it and then return the Parallel Lives to the hand. There. That's it. Then return the Parallel Lives to the hand. That's right. So I'm slowly going to get rid of all of his cards. Just take the damage. Aw. Just take the damage, come on. We have enough life to spare. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Let's block that one. That's good. I thought he was going to block the 2-2. Okay. What should I return back to the hand? Could it be Brimaz again? He'll just get returned back to his hand again. Poor guy. Oh, he's gone. Disconnected. Huh. Okay, that's weird. Okay, that's weird. Looks like both my opponents disconnected, which is pretty funny. Didn't expect that. Okay, I guess just 1 versus 1 then. Put an Elspeth Sun's Champion. Yeah, 3. Get that on the field. First ability puts 3 1/1 soldiers on the field. Then exile that. And attack with the 2 Google ones. That's right. Okay. Then that will return that to the hand. There. I don't think you can kill my deck because I have just so much stuff out. I have a Venser out, I have a Elspeth Sun's Champion out. My Venser has 9 loyalty already. Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much no way you can win. I can create 3 1/1 creatures, creature tokens every turn. Every turn. I can do that. So I can do that again. And then put out Ejani Steadfast, another Planeswalker. Oh my god. It's another Planeswalker. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature I control and every Planeswalker I control. This is just going to be an overkill right here. Oh my god. Okay. Exile that. I got 2 more Elspeths in my hand in case this one dies. 2 more Elspeths, Knight Errant and Tyrell in my hand. I can't play them because they're You can only play one Elspeth at a time, but anyway. I'm going to return Blaze Slicer to my hand so we can create more golems. And yeah. That guy doesn't have first strike, right? Nope. Just going to hit him with 4/4 first strikers. Return it back to his hand. It's going to be a quick game. Yep, there we go. Quick game. GG.